What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on EI Entertainment Studios, back at it with another debate video. Today's debate video, we're going to be talking about Shin King Kong versus legendary King Kong. A very interesting debate. Gonna be a quite interesting one. Now, all my viewers are gonna be like, he's gonna say this line again, but I do have to say for new viewers, so if this is the first time you're ever watching a debate video on this channel, this debate, what we like to do, or just in general, all debate videos on this channel, I like to open a door that's never been opened before. Try to see one fan-made kaiju and one original kaiju, but sometimes I even do two fan-made kaijus. But basically, in this case, for example, let's say Kong of Skull Island is an original kaiju, and Shin King Kong is obviously a fan-made kaiju. So we're putting these two monsters together, trying to open a door that's never been opened before, and trying to see if Shin King Kong were to be alive, who would win? What would its abilities be? What would its characteristics be? What would the backstory be? And how would it fight against Kong, or possibly even Godzilla in a future video? And that's basically what we're trying to do here. So this is how the video is going to go down. We're going to go over Shin King Kong, the backstory, abilities, all the characteristics. And then we'll go over Kong, same thing. And then we'll put these two kaijus up against each other to see who's going to win. And I'll get more into detail how we do that once we get there. But without further ado, let's begin with the backstory of Mr. Shin King Kong. So, Shin King Kong came to existence back when other Kong species were alive. One female Kong ventured past Skull Island into a deep storm, and a whirlpool pulled her to an underwater cave where nuclear waste had been piling up and Shin Godzilla had been growing there. You know shit's about to go down if Shin Godzilla's there. And the female Kong died due to drowning, and Shin Godzilla saw this as an opportunity to grow its army of mutated creatures. So it ripped open the stomach of the female Kong, and it took in DNA samples. This is pretty fucking graphic. And combined it with its own reproductive system to create Shin King Kong, who will always bow down to Shin Godzilla as one of its army members. So that's the backstory that I came up with for Shin King Kong. Now, let's go over the abilities of Shin King Kong. The first one we have is the atomic laser, which is, again, kind of self-explanatory why this creature has it, because of the DNA of Shin Godzilla. So as you saw in the thumbnail, Shin King Kong's mouth opens just like Shin Godzilla and can use the atomic laser from the mouth, just like Mr. Shinny Shin did. Next, we have sharp flesh-ripping teeth. These specific teeth that Shin King Kong has are very super sharp, which even has more ragged, smaller teeth on top of its own teeth that are made specifically to rip into its opponent's flesh and to cause very harmful damage. And then we have very strong jaws, as obviously specifically because Kong is, you see, Kong is more of a physical opponent. Unlike God, I'm not saying that Godzilla isn't physical, but he can easily stand back and just kill you with his atomic breath or his fire ability if it were to ever happen again, right? But Kong doesn't have the luxury of that, so he's more dirty and he does more of the dirty work. He's more just all out physical. He needs to have a good jaw, good teeth to just like get his job done. And this is what the Shin ability is ultimately giving Kong. Next we have, and obviously he will have super sharp claws because of a reptilian type of mutation that he has. He has a adaptation / evolving ability. As we know, Shin Godzilla can change forms. I put these into two separate abilities, but ultimately they're the same thing. adaptation, and form change. So I'm just going to explain all this together. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie Shin Godzilla, but I presume that everyone has by now, but I don't know, who knows. Shin Godzilla has the ability to evolve / adapt to any given situation, and by doing that, he changes forms to fit the landscape, to fit the environment. And he does that from Form 1 to Form 2 to Form 3 to Form 4, and possibly to Form 5 if those humanoids would count as such. Now, with having the DNA of Shin and Kong, the DNA obviously gives him the ability to do what Shin Godzilla could. And therefore Shin Kong can actually do form changes and adapt. And form changes will be discussed more in detail when we're talking about the fight. But he can adapt and he can form change. He also has reptilian Shin type skin, which is going to be very difficult to penetrate. And I could not leave this one out, obviously. We all know Shin Godzilla has this one super ability where he can shoot atomic lasers. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about the tail, but in generally, he can shoot an atomic or multiple atomic lasers from the back of his dorsal plates, right? Or like between his dorsal plates, whatever. And I had to give something special to Kong if we were gonna do this. So Shin King Kong can shoot atomic lasers out of his chest. More specifically, out of his chest nipples, he can shoot his atomic. It's like imagine where the nipples are on the chest, it can actually split open, which kind of makes my fucking chest hurt if you think about it. Like imagine your nipples splitting open. It's like it splits open and there's blood flowing out, and then a huge blast of atomic lasers come out. And the fact that there's blood, the blood mixes with the atomic laser, being super venomous, will also help him in defeating his opponent. The venom can actually, it's nothing like specific, but it does definitely cause some skin pain to its opponent. So that's that. Okay. Now, that's pretty much all the abilities of Shin King Kong. His territorial level is maximum being of the nature of who he is, of his character, of a Kong. Although his aggression will be super low because Shin Godzilla was a very low aggression monster himself. He was never out to cause fighting, but he fights when he's aggravated. But he doesn't start fights. That's from my own analysis of the character. That's why I decided to put this, and the biome of Kong where he can live is actually unlimited due to his adaptation and form change ability, being able to change his forms and the way he breathes and everything depending on the circumstances of his surroundings. Therefore, the biome level is unlimited. And finally, the final one that we're going to talk about is Shin King Kong's height. And to make it a fair fight in general, we'll put Shin King Kong at 110 meters tall. Alright? So that pretty much sums up Shin King Kong in a nutshell. We were able to do that in about 6 minutes, or almost 7 minutes, which is not that bad. Okay. Now, let's talk about the Kong of Skull Island, the original Kong. So basically, this Kong stands, I'm just going to go over the height first. He stands approximately around 104 meters, so he's a big boy. Obviously nothing close, or excuse me, I can't believe I just said 104 meters. I meant, before all of you guys go bashing me in the comments, I mean 104 feet. And I take it back for Shin King Kong. I believe I said 110 meters. I meant 110 feet. Yeah, the whole meters. Because all of my kaiju reviews, I talk about more of like big kaiju, so I always refer to them as meters. And I forgot we're talking about the little monkey here, so. No hate to Kong though. So yeah, excuse me, I did not mean meters, I meant feet for both of these kaiju. So a quick recap, Shin King Kong is 110 feet, and Kong of Skull Island obviously stands at 104 feet. And he is an ancient species of monkey. Well, he's not a monkey, gorilla. And pretty much all of his elders died out because of a big war with the skull crawlers, and now he's the only one left in Skull Island. And if you watch Godzilla King of the Monsters, there are hints of his elders actually fighting with Godzilla. It's a very, very interesting mythology there. But basically, that's the basic. I'm not trying to make this video too long, but that's the basic backstory of who Kong is. He's from a big family who died out because of a big war with the skull crawlers, and now he's the only Kong left on Skull Island. That's why he's very territorial, very aggressive. He is a very aggressive Kong, I feel. In terms of defense, though, he's not like, if we were to rate him on level of territorial, he'd be maximum, aggression would be low, just like Shin Godzilla, unless he's aggravated, unless he has a reason to. I think he keeps his anger, keeps his calories in, depending. You know, he's not gonna just go and fight someone just because he wants to, but if there's a good reason why, they're like the army who went in Kong Skull Island, who were literally invading his island, he initiated a fight, which makes sense. I would too if I was a man-eating gorilla. Now, going over the basic backstory and all that, abilities, Kong is very, very limited when it comes to abilities. Now, again, remember, this is pre-Kong versus Godzilla, so is Kong gonna have new abilities as he's grown up? Possibly. But we're going off of Kong Skull Island for now, so his abilities are basically kicking, punching, running, basically having one of the best agilities out of all the kaijus in the Monsterverse. Even better than Godzilla, I would say. He's very more agile, even specifically when after the 2014 model, when the 2019 Godzilla came, he had way better agility, but again, nothing compared to Godzilla at all. I mean, nothing compared to Kong at all. Like, it's not even close. Impossible. Now, going at it with that perspective, he can kick, he can punch, he can run, he knows how to fight, he's fairly smart, he's a primate, so he's quite smart, and he can bite, and he can claw, and he can punch fire, and I probably said that like 10 times already. And that's literally it for Kong. Nothing else. So, yepperoo. Now, and I did say that, so that pretty much sums up Kong of Skull Island in a nutshell. Now, let's get to the part where we've all been waiting for, and that is to make these two monsters fight. Now, what we're gonna do is we're going to rate them out of, or we're gonna fight these two monsters in terms of two ways. We're gonna do close range and far range. For far range, it's obviously much less practical than, obviously, because monsters, especially Kong, being Kong, he's going to definitely want to go up close to his opponent and to fight. It's very, very difficult for him to fight from a close range perspective. But we're gonna do it, so we're gonna do that first, since it's less practical in terms of this specific battle. We'll do that first. And then we'll go close ranges, all out abilities. However, there are instances where there may be specific times where there may be a tie. And if that is the case, we will go to overtime. I'm not going to explain it though, because we don't need to yet, but if the time comes, I will speak on it. So let's go back to, so we're starting off with far range. In terms of this video, we'll set these two monsters at 700 meters apart. Alright, can't go closer than that. So let's see what abilities Shin King Kong can or cannot use in terms of far range. Alright. The first one we have is Atomic Laser. Atomic Laser is obviously made to go far distances, so that is definitely an okay. So he can use that. Sharp flesh ripping teeth, no, that is a big no-no. Strong jaws, no. Sharp claws, no. Adaptation, yes. Form change, of course. Reptile shin skin, I mean there are all these stuff that he can use for defense, but nothing for offense. And then chest super laser, that is definitely going to be used. So basically, in a nutshell, atomic laser. You can use atomic laser. You can use adaptation, form change, and chest super lasers in offense. And everything else kind of for defense. For Shin King Kong and for Kong of Skull Island, nothing. Only defense. But to make it more fair, he can throw rocks and trees at Shin King Kong. Okay, so going off of that, I see these two kaijus in terms of each other. I'll be honest with you, I see Shin King Kong totally destroying Kong of Skull Island in terms of far range, because think of it. As soon as Shin King Kong initiates his atomic laser, that is like, remember at one point when they try to kill Kong with the flammable water? I forgot what it's called, but when they put the water on fire, and that really fucked up Kong's skin. And that's just fire. Just imagine if it were just Shin Godzilla's atomic laser in Shin King Kong. It's definitely going to rip the flesh. All Shin King Kong needs to do in this is use his atomic laser and his super chest laser, and it's literally, that's all it needs. It doesn't even need to change its form and adapt to the situation. And if Kong keeps on throwing rocks at it, I mean, it's to a point where Kong is going to get tired of, literally gonna get tired, or it's just, I mean, rocks are gonna cause damage, yes, like it or not, but it's nothing that's going to kill Shin King Kong. And all Shin King Kong needs to do is use these atomic lasers, and he is done for. He is over. And this was probably one of the most shortest ones, but I don't see other outcomes. Because we're doing a far range, remember that, we still have to go to close range. That's gonna be a little bit different. So, yes. That's gonna be at that. So we're just gonna rate these two kaijus in terms of far range, 1-0 for Shin King Kong because of the atomic lasers being able to rip into the skin and literally blow up Kong's insides. So Shin King Kong will take the lead for far range. Now going into close range. Close range is going to be a whole different ball game. All these kaijus are going to be face to face, literally killing each other now with no restrictions to abilities. Now, this is where Shin King Kong will possibly fall short just a little bit. Yes, Shin King Kong is bigger, however, not too much, right? Shin King Kong is 110 feet, Kong is 104 feet. Not much of a difference. So, Shin King Kong has a DNA of Shin, forming Shin reptilian skin. Very heavy, not fast at all. So Shin King Kong is a fast creature, but nothing compared to Kong himself. Kong is very light, very agile, jumping all over the place, right? Literally going fucking apeshit all over the place. That fits this specific description. And Shin King Kong is going to be more of a observant in close range, kind of looking at where Shin King Kong may fall, may do a wrong turn, and that's where he'll centralize. But that is not the best option, I would say. King Kong is basically gonna dance around Shin until he gets him to go dizzy. So I see that possibly Kong, I see Kong possibly just like quickly jumping around all over the place, Shin King Kong going all dizzy, and then every few seconds where he's able to land on the opposite side of Shin King Kong, getting a good punch in, and then keep on doing that non-stop until he possibly knocks him out. But this is where the ability for Shin King Kong comes, which could possibly save him from this scenario. Remember, going back to Shin King Kong's ability, we have the adaptation and the form change. He can easily, Shin King Kong can easily evolve into a different way where he can have two heads. Yes, it's very possible. Have two heads and look at both sides and easily see where Kong is. And once he does that, again, it goes back to the normal thing. All he has to, even let's say, taking away the, not even considering the atomic laser and chest super laser, he has super reptilian skin. So every time Kong will try to claw at him, it's really nothing's gonna happen. And and having those two eyes, if Shin King Kong, let's say he does, grabs a hold of Kong and uses those super sharp teeth, he will rip into the flesh, possibly, you know, he's very strong. If Shin King Kong bites the face of Kong, his teeth will sink into Kong's eyes, rip it out, rip his tongue out, just fucking rip his head out, and just kill him altogether. If he doesn't even get to the point using this atomic laser and blowing up his whole body. Therefore, I think this is the only outcome. 2-0 in terms, or in favor of Shin King Kong. However, this is just my opinion. You can disagree with me, obviously, but I did have my reasons to back up my own shit, pretty much. And this is why I see the big difference. They need to give Kong a supernatural ability in Godzilla vs. Kong. Yes, size and all that, they did size him up, but it gets to a point where physical battle is not enough when it comes to fire or atomic abilities. And I think that's why the new Kong may have something new up his sleeve. I was about to say something up his ass. But, who knows? Anyways, this has been the debate video. So Shin King Kong is the winner. And pretty much, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, have a wonderful day.